parties and different CSOs. We Republican Institute. So this will be streaming live on Civic Space TV. And when we start, my colleague Mabel is going to take us through the portal, and we expect you to pay attention. Thank you. Good morning. You're welcome once again. Today is the National Stakeholders Meeting about the Uganda Elections Data Portal by Center for Constitutional Governance in partnership with IRI. You're welcome to this training. Before today, we had 4 meetings, and our executive director will give us welcome remarks and also take us through what to expect today and what the data portal is about. You're welcome, Ms. Sarah Birete.
Good morning, participants, those physically in the hall here and those online following this live stream on Civic Space TV. Our distinguished participants, representative of police, Afande Luke Oesijiri, all representatives of political parties and CSOs in your respective capacities. This is our final meeting for this phase on the Uganda Elections Data Portal. We have held meetings in Mbale for the Eastern region, Gulu for the Northern region, Mbarara for the West, and Kampala for the Central region. And this is now the national meeting joining in all the stakeholders. Most of these stakeholders in the region will be joining us online, or they've already joined. And we shall have our final training today. And we shall also look at the resolutions from the region in line with the way forward for the portal and discuss or adopt them in this national meeting. The portal allows citizens or members and users to search, analyze, and explore election results, voting trends, turnouts from national as well as hyperlocal levels in a single powerful portal with many analytical features and visualizations. So you will see some of these features as we go through the training, and we can then have a discussion after the training. I thank you very much, and I wish to officially open this meeting.
We are going to start the display of the website. Please feel free to check on your mobile phone in case the projector is not clear enough wherever you are. On your phone, in your browser, please type Uganda Elections Data Portal so that you're able to comfortably follow through. Thank you.
Good morning to you all. My name is Mabel Muga, and I'll be taking you through this portal from the International Republican Institute. About this project, the Uganda Elections Data Portal is a project of the International Republican Institute designed to increase transparency and understanding of voter registration and results made publicly available by the Uganda Electoral Commission. The data portal allows users to visualize, analyze, and download voter registration and other election-related data from the presidential elections since 2006, enabling Uganda's electoral stakeholders to conduct more effective civic and voter education results. The Uganda EC collected and published the data, which are available on the Uganda Elections Data Portal, which was first publicly available on their website over the past 4 elections, including 2021. Uganda's EC has expanded its data collection to more details, including age and gender of registered voters. IRI upholds the EC for making this election-related information available to the public. The EC's actions in this regard can serve as an example to other election commissions around the world and demonstrates the fulfillment of its vision statement, which is to be a center of excellence for election management bodies in the region and the continent. About the election system, the Ugandan election system has undergone significant changes over the past 2 decades. In the July 2005 referendum, Ugandans voted to adopt a multi-party system of governance. In February 2006, the Election Commission organized the first multi-party general elections in Uganda. About the data, I'm going to focus on the limitations here, the limitations of the tool, and these are the following. Polling station analysis. IRI's data analysis does not offer cross-election analysis at the polling station level. This is due to a level of uncertainty on the division and proliferation of polling stations across election cycles. However, if users are confident about their exact polling station across election years, users may be able to make cross-election comparisons on a case-by-case basis. 2006 parish analysis. IRI's data analysis does not offer cross-election analysis of parishes for 2006. At the time of the portal and dataset creation, IRI had not standardized the 2006 parishes in a way that would allow for trending against later elections. This is due to the uncertainty of the reorganization of parishes between 2006, 2011, and 2016 cycles. Demographic data limitations. At the time of the portal and dataset creation, registered voters' gender and age were not available for 2011 and 2006. This information is not offered for these years. The reason behind this is that EC started collecting disaggregated data in 2016, so you will not find it in 2011 and 2006. Trend analysis for using sub-counties. The portal does not allow for cross-election analysis using sub-counties, and sub-county lines are at times unclear when comparing the portal 2019 map, and for this reason, sub-county level aggregates are not shown. And another disaggregation is that, not disaggregation, but a limitation to this tool, is that the data is only for presidential election data sets. We do not have for MPs data sets provided in this portal at the moment. So I know people are going to be interested, ask questions about this, but the data sets for MP level and local government elections are not yet available. So when you click on the link, this is what is shown. It shows Uganda Elections Data Portal and a welcome note here, and what the ED has already explained, that you can visually search, analyze, explore election results, voting trends, turnouts, and more from national to hyper-local levels. That is the polling station. And then it has very many analytical features and data visualizations. So because the recently held general election was in 2021, whenever you click on the link, it will show you results for 2021, but we have 4 election cycles in this tool. And then IRI chose to start with 2006, as explained, because that's when we had our first multi-party general election. So we chose to start collecting this data since 2006 and not before. So this is how the tool is presented. We have selection areas for the region. The country is constant. We have the region, and the regions are 4: Central, Eastern, Northern, and Western. And as you can see, we indicated that the sub-county selection part is not there. You can click 3 letters of a district, and it will show, and then you can click on it. You can go as far as, if you already selected a district, you can select a parish as well as a polling station in the district. So this tool is divided into 2 parts. We have the information boxes section, and then we have the data browser section. So we are going to look at the data browser section right now. The information boxes are voter turnout, ballots cast, and leading candidates, as you can see. But I have scrolled down to the tool so that we can be able to view the data browser. So the data browser has 4 tools. Let me use the plus sign for zooming in so that you can see the map clearly. All right. So the data browser has 4 tools. The default tool is the map. Whenever you click on the link, the map usually shows. If you select a district, by default, it will show the map of the district that you have selected. If you choose a district, within that map, it will also show the parishes in the district. So we have the map, the rank tool, time trends, and colorations tool. So right now, we are looking at the map tool. I'm going to explain what is indicated on this map. You can see that there are different shades of green in the geographical structures that I am selecting. And every geographical structure that I'm selecting is a district. You click in the middle, and it will show you voter turnout in a district in 2021. If I move on to the color scale, you can see that where there is dark green, the percentage is between 90 to 100. The shade keeps on reducing between 80 to 90, 70 to 80, 60 to 70, and further down. 30 is the lowest, 30 to 40% is the lowest, and then 90 to 100 is the highest. So where you see dark green, it means that for every metric that we will choose, it shows that there was a high percentage of the metric that we are going to select. So right now it is showing voter turnout for 2021. Let me use it as it is being displayed. So when you look at this map, it shows you the dark green geographical structures, and this was Kabong. So this means that Kabong had a voter turnout of 80.1%. And then we have Karenga with 82.2%. And then we have Chiruhura here with 93.7%. So this was the voter turnout as displayed here. These districts are the districts with the highest voter turnout in 2021. So we can also look at the districts with the lowest voter turnout. If you look at the lightest shade, Gulu has the lightest, and in 2021, Gulu had the lowest voter turnout with 38.2%. So when you click here on the drop-down button, it shows you different metrics that you can use. You can select invalid ballots, percentage of invalid ballots, percentage of the candidates that participated in the election. And then go further down, we have the registered voters by youth, and those who are above 31. We have the gender, as I explained, but the gender data starts from 2016. And then we have total ballots cast, valid ballots, and voter turnout. Right now, I'm going to focus on invalid ballots and show you how you can check for results for all the years. Let me use invalid ballots and we'll see what happened. So we'll start with 2021. And as you can see, we are looking at dark shades of green. So you can see Wakiso district had the highest number of invalid ballots. As you remember, the total of registered voters for Wakiso is very high. So this is also how the data is being displayed. The highest number of invalid ballots. You can see here. So those are 12,500 invalid ballots, followed by Arua with 11.4, and then we have Kasese with 6,682. So when you look at the lightest shade of green, it's now like tending to be white. There were 1,552 invalid ballots in Nuoya. So there were 1,078. We go here at Amolata, in Amolata district, there are 1,908. So when you move in the middle of the structure, it shows you the invalid ballots in a district. So that was 2021. You can follow through by selecting the year, and we see what happened in 2016 for invalid ballots, and we look for the districts with the darkest shade of green. Wakiso again. So for election stakeholders who might be CSOs and parties, these could be the issues that should be noted, that in a second election cycle, Wakiso is among the districts with the highest invalid ballots. Arua again is back with the highest number of invalid ballots. So you continue clicking in the middle of the structure, you see what Tororo had. There were 9,557. Kamuli, there was 6.5. 6,500. Masindi, 6,409. And then the light shades of green per day with 1,752. So Wakiso here and Arua, there must be issues. Those are questions that our civil society actors might be interested in, as well as political parties. Let's go to 2011. We have Lira with 8,343. And then we have Arua again. Let me look at this district. Still, Wakiso is there. So the number of invalid ballots in Wakiso districts is an issue here that should be looked into. And then we also have Kasese in 2011 as one of the districts. Okay, so we go to 2006. This is what it shows. I would like to see this. Arua is back. We have Lira, Tororo, Wakiso, Masaka in 2006. So this is how you can go through the election years. After you have chosen a metric here, you can choose any metric that you're interested in. Let's look at the candidates, percentage votes for candidates at district level. Let's look at the president in 2021 and see how the data is being presented. So where you see dark green are the districts where the president got a high percentage of votes, and those are Karenga with 90.5, we have Kabong 87.6, Kotido, Moroto, Napak. So those are the districts where you can see where the president got high percentage votes. And then you also look at this place or district in Toroko, we have Chenjojo, and all these districts that you can see here. So they indicate the percentage votes of what the president got in 2021. So this is how you can use these different metrics to find the data that you need. I would like to move on to the rank tool. So for the rank tool, since we are using invalid ballots, I would like to explain it this way. We still have the selection area for the years. You can go through all of them by clicking on the year that you're interested in, but right now we are using 2021 since it's the recently concluded general election. This is for information. It's explaining invalid ballots as the number of ballots that have been deemed invalid or incorrect due to issues such as no options selected, too many options selected, unclear selections, or confusing markings. So this icon here is the reverse order. So here now it is showing districts with the highest number of invalid ballots, but when you go to the reverse order, it shows you districts with no invalid ballots or the ones with the lowest. So in Pakwach, this is an outlier. We can see that in Pakwach there were no invalid ballots. As well as Budaka, Katakwi, in Soronko there were 7, Amudat, Chiruhura, Nabiratu, Karenga, and Rampara. So the reverse order here is showing us districts with the lowest invalid ballots. So when we do the reverse order here, it shows us districts with the highest number of invalid ballots. And Kampala was topping in ranks, and it was ranked number 1 with the highest number of invalid ballots, followed by Wakiso, Arua, Kasese, Kamuli, Jinja, Tororo, Mbale, and they follow through. So this is how the rank tool can be used for you to check on the number of invalid ballots. But as you can see, we still can choose any of the metrics here to get the information that you need. I move on to the time trends tool. This is the third tool. Okay. So the time trends tool gives you a quick snapshot of what happened from 2006 to 2021. The x-axis here is showing voter turnout. This is voter turnout, and the y-axis is showing the election years. So as you can see, this is a quick snapshot. Chiruhura has been number 1 in districts with the highest voter turnout. In 2021, it was 93.71. We followed through in 2016, it was at 92. 89.84. And then in 2011, the voter turnout was 89.49. And then in 2006, it was at 90.13%. So the only challenge with this tool, all these tools have the same data, but this tool has a problem. It has, the lines are really congested, and it's not easy to, keep the line. You can see I'm here at Isingiro, and I can see 2021. But as I try to keep the line with my finger, it shifts. That's the only challenge with this tool. But if someone can keep their finger on the line, they can easily get a quick snapshot of what happened across all the 4 election cycles from 2006 to 2021. But Chiruhura is kind of pretty straightforward. The line is clear because it was at the top. So I move on to the colorations tool. And for the colorations tool, I'm going to use voter turnout on my x-axis to explain this tool. And then I'm going to select 2 candidates who participated in the 2021 general election. And these are Waike Museveni and Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, because they did win the highest number of votes in 2021. And this is how it's going to show. I'll start with Waike Museveni. So I'll click on Chiruhura district, or let me see if I can click in Isingiro. So you see in Isingiro district, the voter turnout was at 87%, and Waike Museveni did get 94% in Isingiro district. So the percentage votes for Waike Museveni in Isingiro districts were high, as you can see on the color scale. And then if we go to a district like Wakiso, if you look at the size of the circle, you see that in Wakiso, where the voter turnout was at 49.7, the percentage votes for Waike Museveni were at 21.8. So I'm going to move on to the second candidate. I already explained that I have chosen these 2 candidates because they did win the highest number of votes in the presidential election of 2021. So when we click on Kyagulanyi and I select Isingiro district, you can see what happens. Voter turnout was at 87%, but Kyagulanyi had low percentage votes. No, why is it showing Waike? Okay, the percentage votes for Kyagulanyi were at 4.37%. Let's see what happens when we select a district like Wakiso. So do you see what happens? The voter turnout was low in Wakiso district at 49.7%, but Kyagulanyi got high percentage votes at 75.7%. So this is how the tool, brings out the data, but different stakeholders would explain how the data is displayed. They would have their own assumptions. As the IRI, we are just presenting the data, but participants or stakeholders out there might have explanations for why the data is being presented the way it is. And remember, our official data source is the EC. I'll show you later how the data is presented by the EC. We did not add or subtract anything from what was presented officially, uploaded by the EC on their website. So we move on to the second section of the tool. As you can see here, registered voters by age and gender data is only available in 2016 presidential election. IRI is still updating the tool, and we will add registered voters' age and gender data for 2021. But at the moment, we have it for 2016. I'll be showing you how it's displayed. But let me first explain these information boxes. So for 2021, since this was the presidential election results, the voter turnout information box is displayed this way. So for the voter turnout information box, we have registered voters, and these are the number of eligible citizens who are registered to vote, and there were 18,157,960. For the total ballots cast, the number of ballots that have been cast, there were 10,744,319, and the voter turnout was 59.2%, which is the percentage of registered voters who cast their votes in an election. So that is the voter turnout information box. Then we have ballots cast in the presidential election for 2021, and we have the valid ballots. These are the number of ballots that are deemed valid, and they were at 10,350,819. And then we have the invalid ballots, the number of ballots that have been deemed invalid or incorrect due to issues such as no options selected, too many options selected, unclear selections, or confusing markings. And these were at 393,500, and the percentage was 3.7%. And it is displayed here on the circle here with red. So we have, this is the fourth information box. I'll go back to the agenda one in the year 2016, but let me explain what this third information box is all about. So this third information box is about the leading candidates in the presidential election. As you can see, I explained that YK Museveni and Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert did win the highest number of votes in the general election. So we have Y Museveni here. He's from NRM and he's male. He did win with a vote count of 6,042,898 with this shade of green, and the percentage was at 58.38%. The second candidate was Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert from NUP. He's male. He did win with a vote count of 3,631,437, and the percentage was 35.08%, followed by the FDC candidate, Hon Amriat Oboy Patrick from FDC. He's male. He got 337,589 votes with a percentage of 3.26%. We can see the candidate from ANT, Mugisha Muntu, male. He did get 67,574, and the percentage was 0.65. DP, Democratic Party, your candidate got 57,682 with a percentage of 0.56, followed by Tumukunde Henry with 51,392. So that is the information box for the leading candidates. So let's go to 2016. So this is how the information box for the registered voters by age and gender is displayed. We can see that the females were more than the males, and there were 8,000 8,27,803, and the percentage was 52.5%, while the males were 7,249,395, and that percentage was 47.5. So for the next, for those who were projecting or wanted to know these percentages, usually political parties are interested in knowing the number of females and then also the number of youth who have been registered to vote. This is mainly for their campaign strategies. So this data was really important for political parties and maybe other stakeholders also who wanted, to track and see how the youth and the women were participating, those who were registered to vote. So for the youthful females, there were 3,656,529, and the percentage was 23.9. And those who were above 31 were 4,371,274, with a percentage of 28.6. And then for the male youth, there were 3,334,475, with a percentage of 21.8%. And then those who were above 31 years of age were 3,914,920, with a percentage of 25.6%. So those are the four information boxes. I would like to click here and show you. So this is how the data is displayed by the EC. IRI just only used data browsing tools and Excel sheets to compile these visualizations that you have been able to see in the tools. But this is how the data is displayed by the EC. I do not know if there is anyone who can quickly analyze this data the way it is. Maybe that's why actors were not using the data that has been published for almost 4 years. Okay, so this is how I wanted to show you. These are PDF files from the EC website that you can also go and look at and compare with the IRI tool. So I wanted to go back to the data browser and show participants how they can assess party performance. This is mainly for political parties and maybe even other actors that might be interested. I want to click on region, analyze by region. Full screen. And then I go to percentage of candidates. You want to see how the party is performed. So here, which year should I select? Let me select 2021, and then we can go to 2016. All right, if I click on percentage votes for Y Museveni, we can see that by region, Western region, NRM has support of 80.7% in Western region, and then in Northern region, it's at 68.3. So we are going to look at the 4 election cycles and we see whether it has been changing, yes or no. So Western region is that. The shade of green in the north is kind of more than the east. Let's look at east. East was at 54.3, and NRM lost central region because they had 33.6. Let's look at what happened in 2016. This is how NRM would be assessing their party performance using this map. We can see Western region, the support is constant here in 2016 at 72.2, and all the regions were the same. kind of. Central with 52.1, Eastern with 58.3, and Northern with 58.2. So in 2016, Western region was still standing out, and other regions were the same, looking at the shade of green. In 2011, NRM was strong in the Western region and strong in East and Central and Eastern regions. Central, it was at 63.1. Eastern, it was at 68.3, and Northern region, it was at 56.7. Let's see what happened in 2006. So in 2006, we can see that Northern region, the support for the party in that election year was minimal, but the support for NRM in the Western region has been constant. So it is these two regions which keep shifting, and maybe the North. This is how you can tell along the 4 election cycles how the party has been performing. We can see for the North, the party support has been increasing, and in 2021, I think Northern region followed the Western region for NRM. I'd like to go back here and select 2021, see what happened. So in 2021, I would like to go back and select by region. And select, so this X button is used for full screen. I'm going to select, so you can select any metric, but now I'm interested in percentage votes for ANT. Party support for ANT, I've selected the candidate. So if this party is assessing its performance, they are strong in Western region, followed by Northern region, and party support in these two regions is very minimal. So the party needs to do a lot of work in the East and Central region. That is for ANT. Then I'll select Chagulanyi Sentamu Roberts, because these are candidates whose parties participated in 2021. You can see that the support for ANT was in Central region was at 64.3, and ANT, oh, sorry, it's NUP. NUP, I'm sorry about that. NUP did take over. You could see that in all what I have selected for ANT and NRM, there was nothing that was indicated. It was not dark. So you can see that NUP took over Central region. Support in the Western region for NUP is the lowest with 14%. They have a little bit of support in the North with 21.8%. And then from Central region, they have a little bit more of support in the East with 34.9%. So the party still needs a lot of work to do in the Northern and the West, as well as the East. All right, I go to the DP candidate, because we are trying to assess party performance. So this is how the map is displayed. DP now has support. DP lost support in the Central because if you can remember, DP had support in Central region, but they lost West, Central, and East, and they only have support in the North with 2.28%. So the Northern region is what is holding the Democratic Party right now. So that was in 2021. Let me check in 2011. So still the northern region and central region. So in 2021 is when DP lost central region, but they are still very strong in the north. I think it's because I'm just assuming that their candidate comes from the north. I would like to also show you FDC after I finish DP. So you can see they are strong in the north. They had a little bit of support in central, but there is no support in the west and the east. So DP, this is how the tool is displaying information regarding your performance in 2011 and 2021. I would like to select the FDC candidate and we see what's going on. So for FDC, if I may minimize, I'm not seeing the election year, so I go back. I want to choose, okay, 2021. I select region. Okay, this is FDC in 2021. This is what I was trying to explain, that where the candidates are coming from is where they are strongest. And for FDC, in 2021 general election, they was strongest in the eastern region, followed by north and west. In central region, there was no support for FDC. They also lost. I remember when FDC garnered some kind of good support in central region, but in 2021, this region was taken over by NOP. So FDC also needs to do a lot of work in preparation for 2026 to see if they can gain more support again in central region. You want to see Katumba? Okay. Katumba Oye. Where is he? He's here. Katumba Oye had support in northern region and western region. And he did not have support in east and central. Obviously, these are districts which are taken over by the party candidates, but he had support of 0.5% in the north, and then he had support in the west with 0.432%. All right, I would like to stop here. I have already shown you how the results are displayed, and I also explained that our source of data, you know that the EC is the only official institution that is supposed to announce, tally, and publish election results in our country. So they were our only source. We couldn't go through political parties. The data could be available, but not compiled to a level where we could, put this data together in a tool. So we'd like to thank the EC. There are other countries on the continent that cannot, where you can't get data from one institution. So stakeholders might have issues with how the EC has published, what problems with what the EC has published. But as IRI, we uphold them because they have been able to publish it. Because in other countries, you cannot get anything. If the data is there, you might get it with another consultant, a little bit from an institution. So it is kind of scattered. But with the EC, everything is compiled and put, you can easily access it from one institution. So I've come to the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening to me. Questions, comments are welcome. because this tool is still work in progress. You can advise us on how to improve it so that stakeholders can be able to use this data with informed information that they can use for their interventions in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mebo. So we are open to any inquiries. Okay. Okay, the first, I think it's fair when Okidi goes before Brian.
Thank you so much, Mebo, for, first of all, I've not seen you in a long time. So it was nice to see you again today. Now, I want to start with your conclusion. And your conclusion was that the source of data was only the Electoral Commission. And you know the dispute over the integrity of our electoral democracy. So now, if IRI, which in my view is a civil society, is relying on data from an institution that their integrity, their data alone is questionable, then I don't really know who this tool will help. In fact, if I am to advise IRI, you rather concentrate on helping people locate their polling stations, because you see, this is how elections are stolen. There's a book by Nick Chisman who said, How to Steal an Election. And by the way, Uganda is mentioned in it, in the manner in which elections are stolen in Uganda. At the last minute, the Electoral Commission plays around with people's voting locations. They can pick Walid and throw him from Chengera, where he comes from, and throw him at Masanafu. So Walid will now go to Masanafu, to Chengera, thinking he is very sure that he's going to be on the voters' roll in that Chengera, and then he doesn't find himself. So at the end of it all, you will be reporting data which is being played about, and then you'll say, actually, the voter, first of all, even that voter turnout is even questionable, you see, because when you look at the 18% voters, you'll actually realize that these are young people who can locate any polling station. And you see the political consciousness of young people in this election was very high. So, in Northern Uganda, for example, I contested for Member of Parliament in Northern Uganda. Polling stations where it is very clear that they can never vote for NRM because there are actually mass graves next to it. You find that NRM has over 90%. Manufactured consent. So by relying on only this data source, in fact, you are proceeding to validate fraudulent electoral democracy in this country. What you need to do is focus on helping citizens address problems of the electoral democracy, like how to locate their vote. And that's civil society. You see, by the way, civic technology, like this platform you've built, is not the first thing we've seen in Uganda. We've had Uchaguzi, Huduma, and people even use it for social accountability purposes. Why don't you recruit your own monitors, citizens who can track electoral performance and electoral data right from polling stations, than relying on these, what should I say, bankam, or to use Kakwenza's word, balderdash. Thanks.
I would want to, I'm called Brian Tuheire, I'm from FDC. I would want to start from where she stopped from, where she thanked the Electoral Commission of Uganda for publishing results, and in other countries, they don't. There are two types of rapists. One rapes you and gets on your mouth and says, don't shout. That's one. Another one rapes you and can allow you to shout. And that's the Electoral Commission of Uganda. Summarized. They can rig an election and publish the results. Okay. Others, they have to publish, so you can go and shout about it. Others will rig and not publish. All of them are electoral fraudsters, and we should condemn all of them. We cannot thank these ones for publishing wrong things. That's one. Two is that when you, I think this data is very important for me. In a way, I can go study a PhD or a master's and use it and get the PhD and the master's. But as a politician, this data is very, very shocking, that higher people who vote and don't kill votes are from Karamoja and the Masaka Ankole Kato corridor. That's what you can see clearly. Kabong, Nabruptuk, something of that kind, Chiruhura, Isinjiro. Initially, these guys don't vote. They are voted for. So if you are voted for by a military man, by an ISO, GISO, if you are being voted for and you don't vote, there are lower chances of a vote being invalid, but also there are higher chances that the whole book is ticked, so there is higher vote turnout. Where opposition candidates are stronger, that's where there are many invalid votes, but also that's why there is lower vote turnout. I do not think that there is more political consciousness in Nabrutuku than in Kampala. Kampala 46% vote turnout, Nabrutuku 90-something vote turnout. Chiruhura, for them, they don't vote, so they're on top of everybody in vote turnout, and that's it. So so I think this data is important for academicians. And I want to go to study my master's, so I might use it and it will help me to get a master's. But to think it will change the political terrain of Uganda is actually, I don't know how to say it. But the last point I want to say is that we have experiences where the military does not allow people to vote. So if I'm a political party and I run these statistics about Chiruhura or about Isinjiro in Masha, where people don't vote, because I have been there, they finish voting at midday. They are voted for by midday. So those are the first results announced in Kampala. Before Kampala comes, Chiruhura is here and Isinjiro is here, Nabrutuku is here, Karamoja is here. So they were the first votes to be counted because they finished voting at midday. They were voted for by midday. Everything was done so they could transport the results and mount them on the systems. So if I'm a political party and analyze it, what do I do? How does it help me, one as a candidate, as a political party, to analyze results from Masha and Karamoja, and what does it help me? Because then you're going to tell us on how to mount guns, on how to hit the guns to stop them from voting. Because in Uganda, anyway, guns vote, not people. But even then, when people vote and there is overwhelming evidence that they have voted, and maybe one reason like Uganda helps us vote out Museveni, we have these guns voting for in Western Uganda and Karamoja, and those you can see vote turn-up is in rural districts, not in municipalities, shockingly. You imagine that people in Masaka municipality are more conscious on why they should vote than people in Isinjiro deep in Masha, even Chiruhura. So I think that, like Okidi said, we could be playing in the template of those who rig elections. And if we remain analyzing their elections and following them very well, we could have a problem that this country will be in the future that we cannot solve. And that's the whole thing about analyzing elections, talking about them, whether they are valid or invalid. The truth of the matter is that people in Uganda don't vote. The moment it sinks in people's heads, even when you vote, no, you haven't voted because it can be changed. The moment it sinks in your head, you analyze these things for debate, academic, PhD, thesis, master's something, a bachelor's something. But to think this one will change Uganda, there is a very big problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Lindwa Walid Lubega. I'm the National Youth League chairperson of the Forum for Democratic Change. FDC. I also join my colleagues in the chorus of rejecting the portal. From our perspective as FDC, we think the entire portal was doctored. It doesn't add up. When you look at a single where voters showed up 98%. It has never existed in the electoral democracy in the entire world, where 98% of the voters turn up. Even to a worst case scenario in Kazo, where people turn up 100%, even the dead rise up in their graves to come and vote for Mr. Museveni. And they all cast in one man, Mr. Museveni. It has never happened. So really, and I also want to respond to my brother, Okidi, who was challenging the civil society to come up with their own analysis. I think you are unfair to the civil society. The country is under capture. We were all, we remember what happened during the election, where Electoral Commission banned alternative observers, including SEDU. SEDU was banned, even up to date. Its license hasn't been retrieved. So, and SEDU is an election observer mission from the civil society. How can you ban a civil society organization? And SEDU was not going to organize polling stations where people to vote. It was going to follow what happens on the polling station and report exactly. So the regime never wanted us to understand what happens in Kabong, because that is where the doctoring came from. And also, I'm of the view that before we even analyze this fake portal, we also need to analyze the factors, the issues that came before the election, the violence that met it. My presidential candidate, the Honorable Engineer Patrick Kamliato-Boy, I don't know whether he addressed a meaningful rally where he came and informed the voters that this is my manifesto, upon which I want you to vote me for. Immediately he could hold the mic like I'm holding. Oh, bro, hell broke the whatever. Tear gas and so on. So was that campaigning? While candidate Yoweri Museveni was all over the place campaigning, talking to voters, people dancing from up and down, while other presidential candidates, the Honorable Kyagulanyi, the Honorable Amuriat, were always behind. I've never seen in an election where a presidential candidate is arrested. How can you arrest a presidential candidate? Are you telling us that Amuriat raped a child within the principles of the campaign, that he raped a whatever? Which crime did Amuriat commit? Can you imagine? So we need to analyze those factors. The role of the security agencies, I am good enough, the OSCG is around. The role of security, especially the police was the one at the forefront of coming up in as far as enforcing these fake and stupid orders of arresting, of tear gassing, claiming that the whatever the COVID-19 rules. You remember before we went to election, Museveni said that it would be madness for me to organize an election under COVID. What happened? So we need also to analyze that. So we never had an election. What Museveni wanted is just a process to legitimize his overstay, his long overstay in power, and he achieved it. So it will be unfair for us to gather here to come and say an election happened, and we accept whatever that came out of that election. and the 5 years, we have to move on. I know my brother here, the NRM, will come out to say that we need to move on and go and work, as if nothing happened. So it will be unfair for us to sweep the data under the carpet before analyzing this, whatever that happened. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a good start of your questions. I see my time is almost fast spent, so I'll request okay, I thought maybe I would respond to the first batch, but I will let Peter then Katende.
All right. Thank you, Rita. I just have a few concerns. Maybe before I become, or I have apathy like my my apologies, ED. My name is Peter Ahabwe. Thank you for inviting us. So maybe before I become apathetic, like my colleagues here, I would like to thank the people who came up with this initiative, and I want to thank Rita for inviting me. So I have a few questions. I want to thank you for taking the initiative, but I have a few concerns. So could we now, my first question is, can we have a data protection mechanism for feeding in this portal so that the information is not doubted? Progressively, do you plan on having a verification center for this information that you'll be receiving? I understand you're following the law, that the Electoral Commission is the only obligated entity to release results, but can we have a verification process of this data that you'll be feeding in? That's progressively. I understand that as of now, you're using what is presently there. Then is it possible that the people in charge of the portal can have a pre, a during, and post mechanism of tracking this data, so that in case there are any changes, then the portal can always adequately provide a substantive response in case questions come up? Then does the portal also give coverage for an ongoing feedback in case a poll is happening? Is that possible? That's the other question I wanted. And the last thing is, how secure is the data portal? Because I understand that there's a law on data protection, but how secure is the data portal so that we can always be certain that once data is fed in, there are no sort of errors or hacking of the portal? Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Katende Moses of the Democratic Party under the Youth League. My former boss here, who is now independent. He's independent, I've seen. Yeah? So for me, my issues are with the technology used to compile the voter register and analyzing the data that you're presenting to us. And I think it is unfair to present to us results from such a system. You know, when we were studying primary school, I remember in my P5, there used to be a deputy headmaster. Now, we were studying with the kids, two of them, they were twins. One used to be the first, the other one was the second, before any other pupil comes to them in terms of examination. Now, what used to happen, and why these young kids were performing better than all of us, was when they are printing exams, these exams are stored at the deputy headmaster's home. Now, before you go for the examination, obviously, the possibility of these twins reading through the examination before the exam was 99%. So as a Ayores Waizek, I wait for the math teacher to move out. I go on the blackboard and I said, the exam, why we are failing is because the twins get the exams before we are examined. So they pass highly. But we are waiting for them during PLE. Now, during PLE, of course, they failed, and we are happy. Now, in Uganda, where civil society captures such information, where the stakeholders are not allowed to access technology, review it before usage, is really unfair. And I think where the investment of civil society should be is on empowering stakeholders with information on the technologies that are used to analyze this data and to capture this data. It is really unfair because you see, the kind of data where you procure technology, for us we are participating, but we don't know how to use the technology. We don't know how the systems work. They capture data, they plan on where to switch on internet and then where to put it on, when to compromise the data, and when not to compromise is really unfair. So I think civil society should invest in empowering other stakeholders, but also in helping the young people understanding the security of such data before presenting it to us, because it is unfair. And this I'll continue saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tumsime Frederick is my name, from Barara. Thank you very much for presentation. Me, I agree with the data because this data is from Electoral Commission, which is independent according to our Uganda laws. My worry is about civic education. That's why we are having invalid votes. And we have departments which are responsible. Like when you look at the community development officers, we used to have functional adult literacy, which is, I think that one was phased out. And our older mamas do not know how to write, so they can't vote wisely. That's what I'm thinking. But another thing, when you are in power, you have to protect your power. Nobody can chase you from your home. If you are your father, you are at home, so nobody should come and chase you. Once you get power, you make sure that you protect your power. So even if you talk, at the end of the day, we shall see results. Because even if you set up independent electoral commission, our rules allows one electoral commission. So, to me, even if we lament, once you get power, protect it. Protect it, that's the solution, by all means. That's why elections is called the data game. It's free and fair. Eh? It is free and fair. They are not saying that elections is good. And once you know you prepare to go there, you prepare to fail or to go through. Thank you very much.
Please come close. Martin.
Thank you very much. I am Martin Musime. So I appreciate IRI and CCG for this initiative, one for the innovation and also for the publicizing of this innovation. I have noted from the data that maybe we could add more in terms of larger demographics. Let's say if we're looking at a district, even in its narration, how many women are there, how many youth, you know, people with disabilities in an area, so that us who are reading it are able to know, even the political players, they're able to know that this is, in this area, this is the target. Maybe even when we are campaigning, we should look and focus at this, and these are the things that inform the election in this kind of area. So I think we should expand more on the demographic narrations. Then second, I'm actually saddened by someone who sits in a civil society kind of engagement and defends impunity. You know, there is actually an extent to which we can defend our positions. You know, young people, idealistic people seated here, people who are striving to see the country better. And then because, for whichever reason, you choose to defend and say power, whatever, you have to defend it. I think even in NRM, if you're NRM, you guys are supposed to have morals for this country. So when we're analyzing this, I think it's important that we also be logical. You know the kind of people you're talking to, you know? Even, I mean, if you're NRM, make your thing sellable. Don't, because no one is going to buy it if you present it the way you're supposed to present it. And my last thing is on still the right to vote. Even in our analyzing of data, it's important perhaps to highlight that some areas are still disputed, you know. It's important you don't just put it there as the basic truth, because it seems that as if IRI is also aiding in the illegality. So at times it's also good in this data to put disclaimers. Some of these numbers are still disputed, things like that, you know, because I mean, you know, even courts have disputed this data. And then someone actually said Mbu Electoral Commission is independent. Courts are disputing this data. Everyone is disputing this data. Then why is IRI using it as the gospel? So it's also important that we put disclaimers. In any case, we all know what happened. And I want to end with this, that the right to vote is not exclusive, you know. We are presenting this data as the gospel truth, but we have to know what happened. Like people have said, for you to vote, you have to have been given other rights, or other rights have to have been protected. You know, that is what we call the indivisibility of rights. The right to vote connects together with the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression, even economic freedoms, which we do not have in Uganda. So to an extent, I think this is sort of gaslighting or proselytization for us to buy into things. But if you put the disclaimers, like I've said, add more demographics, I think it will be more believable. Thank you very much.
Okay. Before I go to the other two people, please note that there's an actual disclaimer, which comes and says why IRI and KCHIF aim to make the information on this website as timely and accurate as possible. We make no claims nor guarantees about the accuracy and completeness of the data in our verification process, and expressly disclaims liability for errors and omissions in the contents. So thank you, Martin. There's actually a disclaimer.
Thank you very much. I am Charles Donaldson Hogira from Youth Forum for Social Justice. I'm giving a perspective on a civil society basis. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate CCG and HiRI for the work well done. However, my concern is, how do we tailor the data that we have to for the local citizenry participation in strengthening the elections integrity in the country? And then secondly, what measures should be put in place to popularize the election data for citizens' consumption and acceptation? And then this is a comment. I feel that the data portal is direly needed. It is really timely that we have the information we need for more advocacy, for the various political groups to get to the trenches and, look for more votes. Like my brother Okidi, if it wasn't in your favor, maybe 2026, something good might happen. So let's get back to the trenches. Let's use this as a benchmark for advocacy, for policy reforms, so much so that we're able to let our citizenry right to participation in the governance affairs of the society or of the country to be realized through a more information-oriented perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mebo, for the presentation. I want to thank IRI for the search it has done on the data portal. I remember by the time of 2021 election, I was working with Record TV, and I had to cover General Tumukunde voted here at Kiseminti. I observed that General Tumukunde was already defeated even before casting the vote. So waited for him when he was from him. Then he was like, now you see in Naguru, they are already taking ballots from the table, and in Rwampara, how would I be expectant that really at the end of the day, I'll be announced as the presidential candidate regarding my campaigns? Anyway, leaving that, there is one thing that has captured my mind. Sorry to introduce myself, I'm Julius Tukachungura. I now work with Kabubi Media Africa. It's an online news agency. So what captured me was the invalid votes. During Mebo's presentation, I observed that Central Region, majorly Wakiso and Kampala, registered a high number of invalid votes. And districts like Pakwach, if I'm not mistaken, it almost had no, or almost all people voted. So, in my mind, I understand that there are two reasons as why the invalid votes may be many. One could be lack of civic, and secondly, voter education. I understand that. So, it beats my understanding when I'm going to explain to my mother in the village in Kakumiro that, Mama, you see in Pakwach people vote highly, they are civically educated, and you get? And the people in Kampala are not. You get the point? So also, when I'm trying to report either a story, it really confuses me on how to explain to someone that this one, that Kampala or Wakiso, people are not civically educated. And lastly, I was looking also at the turn-up of the people, because according to the portal, about 18 million people are registered for voting, but only 10 million turned up for voting. So, could we understand in a broader or a perspective manner from EC, what could be the reasons specifically for this, and the reasons for invalid votes, and all the circus that happen, so that when I'm analyzing something, I have the clue of the point. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I thought I should respond to the non-technical questions, and then our facilitator will respond to the technical questions. And that's to the extent possible. At CCG, we understand the grievances of the citizens in as far as Uganda's electoral in as far as Uganda's electoral democracy is concerned. CCG, as an observer of the just concluded elections, we witnessed arrest of our data clerks as we observed the elections. CCG did a pictorial coverage of presidential candidates, and we documented how Amuriat was arrested 43 times, how Mugisha Muntu campaigns were disrupted 26 times. We have that link, day-to-day pictorial coverage of the just concluded elections. So when we are here, it's not that we think this data is accurate. No. But the fact remains that it's Electoral Commission mandated to officially announce and conduct elections. So what do you do with it? As actors, what can we do with this data? The districts that show high voter turnout are the ringing districts. So I expect political parties to say, this is data of where elections are rigged. And how do I plan for my mobilization? Of course, you will make your plans as political parties. I'm just pointing one example. So the districts with 90% above voter turnout are districts where ringing takes place, voter rigging. And it's consistent all the years. So I expect political parties and actors to pick this data and pick what they think is useful for them, instead of condemning an entity that has simplified data. Data serves very many purposes. This is simplified data. Go to it, see what you can do with it as actors. That's the purpose of this training. I wish to request our facilitator to only respond to technical questions. I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for all the comments, the grievances that you are feeling, as Sarah has indicated. But rightly so, the purpose of this tool, people have not picked out the objective of why this tool was created. As IRI, we do not say that what is in this tool is correct or wrong. But we want you to see what is inside this tool, because realistically, with all the challenges, it's not that we don't know what you went through. Political actors, especially those who participated in the elections, we know everything that happened. But besides all that, there are things here that can lead you, can give you information that you'd not ideally know about if you went to the PDF files. That's why people are ignoring that data, but the data gives you a lot of information. Just like they have said, you can see districts where there is a voter turnout is high. You'd like to maybe go and do research and find out why are these districts performing very well. Is civic education very good in this district because the voter turnout is high? Me, I would think that this civic education in those districts which have high voter turnout are the districts with what? Which have good civic and voter education. But it could not also be the truth, just like you have said, because of the issues that you have highlighted. But the issue is the tool is telling you these are the districts with the highest voter turnout. So it is important for political parties and civil society actors to find out, rightfully said, how can Pakwach have 0, invalid votes? And then Kampala, there are just too many. So those are the things. This tool is supposed to stimulate questions amongst the civil society actors. Why is this happening in this district? Why are there very many invalid ballots here? Why are there no invalid ballots in this place? So it is meant to, stimulate you into questioning what is being displayed. There is someone who was saying this portal is fake. We are displaying information which is not correct. we are aiding and abetting, I don't know, whatever you're thinking, but this is EC data, and we are just bringing it closer to you to be able to do analysis so that as you prepare for 2026, you have a clue of what's going on in other districts in the country. In terms of the gender, someone was asking about the women. I've clicked here on Kampala district. The tool can take you to a parish in Kampala. Select maybe Bukoto 1. And then in Bukoto 1, you can still select a polling station in that parish. As you can see, Frobel, at least I know this place. So, no. My constituency is Lubaga South, where my MP is Alozias Mukasa. So this is Frobel, and this is what the data is displaying at this polling station. So it gives you detailed data of polling stations that are in those parishes. And then for those who are standing for MP positions, because we plan to add data for members of parliament, so you'll be able to see the constituencies and how MPs performed. You have figures of registered voters, total ballots cast, things like that that can help you, if you are a candidate in the future, to be able to analyze and see which polling stations have which numbers of registered voters and where you're supposed to focus. Things like that are the things that I thought people would be able to see and not dwell so much. Yes, we are supposed to discuss all the issues that you've been discussing. People are talking about data collection by the EC, data processing and transmission. I think that is a valid point, something that stakeholders should look at because it was contentious. When data gets to the tally center, somehow things happen and things are overturned. So I would ideally think that political parties, if they are able to collect all their DRR forms, verify. As IRI, we cannot do the verifications. We don't have agents. It's political parties that have agents at the polling stations, and maybe even civil society actors who have observers in these centers. So this information can be collected by the political parties because they have the DRR forms, because the DRR form is an important document for verification. So as IRI, there's no way we can verify without that kind of documentation. And then what is published, this is not a tallying tool. It is an after the fact. EC has to first publish, and then we can process and put it in the tool. So I felt that for issues that you have been discussing, the role of the security, that's an advocacy issue, something that civil society actors and political parties should be discussing. Data collection, processing, and transmission is very key. And all the other issues that you have mentioned. Those are the key things that maybe civil society actors should keep resounding over and over again to improve our electoral system. So I think everything has been discussed. I just wanted to highlight. As IRI, we are not saying that the data is correct, and we're not saying that the data is wrong, because it's not our data. But we are enabling civil, because someone was talking about that they could see on the map that voter turnout in the cattle corridor areas. How did you see that? If you had gone to the PDF file, would you exactly see it the way it was displayed? And then also for the invalid ballots, the tools can show you districts with high invalid ballots and those with low invalid ballots. So I would like to urge stakeholders not to beat up this tool, but be able to see the underlying issues that you might be able to analyze. IRA is just presenting the data, but you, the stakeholders, know what happened on the ground. And you can use this tool to find out, go to a district that you know very well, find out how the data is being displayed, and try and internalize and question the things that are within the data to be able to plan for 2026. Yes. Because you will know, here they were these ballots, these were the registered voters. Hopefully, we have now 2021. you can look at what happened in 2021. You saw the trends. There are certain districts that are consistently, you know, we would project that certain districts are also going to have a high voter turnout in 2026 or low voter turnout in 2026. You just project and think, you analyze and say, you know what, it's happened this time. Within the 4 election cycle, things have been happening this way. I'm projecting that maybe it will be the same scenario. Do you see what I mean, or where I'm coming from? So we are not saying, oh, they rigged in this area, and this is what happened. So you know what is happening on the ground, but you can still use this data to find out what are the other underlying issues that you can follow up on. Thank you very much. I think I've said everything because all the issues have been revolving about the authenticity of the tool, but we would like you to look over all these underlying issues because we all know. Yeah. All right. The organization that we contracted to do work on this tool, it's protected, and it's not in Uganda, just for your information. It's not in Uganda, so it's protected. Yeah. So you have to be paid, you have to have a paid VPN if you want to continue.
Thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause for our facilitator? I'm going to invite quick comments as we close, briefly from Joseph, and then Luke will help us close. But he will speak in his personal capacity, even though he speaks for the police.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you very much, IRR, and thank you very much, CCG. My name is Joseph Ochieno. I represent Uganda People's Congress. So we are possibly the most experienced political party, politically, including with elections and issues around elections. So in a sense, this is very important to us. All the observations that have been made, by and large, generally legitimate. Many of them actually a reflection of the work that Sarah's teams have got to do to have going forward, because it's a very emotive issue, and considering the fact that the majority of the people here are young people, and genuinely the youth of this country would like to see a sense of direction going forward. So the responsibility really lies very much with us as political parties, by and large, and where agencies as IRR, partner agencies, and of course, yes, we thank you, but it's possibly the more reason why we should work slightly closer together, but to listen very, very seriously to some of the issues, and indeed all the issues that are raised here. So very briefly, I just want to make one quick observation. One is that, two actually, that the introductory element of this being the first multi-party elections for our young audience is possibly not very accurate, but in a sense, it is the first presidential elections and a multi-party system, direct elections. So that, as minor as that, considering the fact that I notice online conversations about the possible constitutional changes, and you see how little we appreciate, is it parliamentary systems, presidential systems. I was with a constitutional lawyer the other day, and he was taunting me over 1963 elections of Sir Edward Mutesa, something that I really feel very strongly that if IRR are supporting us and we are actually guiding the youth of this country, we should be able to understand that in context. Because it's the case that since independence, elections had been parliamentary systems, so direct elections were not applicable. In a way, some people, and that's part of the battle here, some people might just simply say that we're saying, oh, so until Museveni came, there was no multi-party elections. So just that one. And then number two, very quickly, I actually genuinely thought that I agree with you on the question of, I noticed the question of unlikely voters. While we argue that possibly Kampala versus Nagongo, I was just thinking, and this is the food for thought, it is also possibly the case that the more enlightened, the more likely we are going to question, and the more likely, I've seen this both here, in the UK and elsewhere where I've participated in elections and observed, that actually people who are less much informed are also more likely to say it's a waste of time. And that that's on the one hand. So very, very valid. On the other extreme, is also true that in Kabong, you basically mobilize a village, say, come and put your signature. So it can actually be looked at both sides, both ways. But that still is really the responsibility for us, political parties and political players, and indeed using the information and thinking how best we should be able to do that. So I think it's an extremely useful event, and it's something that I should be encouraged going forward. I would just like to suggest very quickly that because you're slightly much more resourced in some of this, and you've already started, that perhaps going forward in pushing in information about parliamentary elections and other elections, that you must, and please tell the chief at IRR that the chair of UPC asks, that we take this back to 1961, if possible, that we actually genuinely gather this with the youth of this country, so that actually maybe the academia guys may be able to pick some of these things and look at not only the trends, but actually as a plus, and that will now be thanks to CCG. For instance, the most disputed, more recent one, 1980 general elections, I was just having a conversation with a young person who actually thinks his grandfather lost elections. It may be misinformation. Maybe it's an opportunity to build the Electoral Commission, and it would be very interesting if they're able to say to us that, well, we only have information up to 1996, and we don't have information before. Maybe it might be an opportunity for us to get some interns to do some more research so that they go towards Masaka, gather information so that we build a library for the future as far as the electoral system is concerned. For that, I thank you very much, and I thank you very much again, and thank you, CCG, and thank you for IR. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Luke Oesijire. I'm the deputy spokesperson. I know many of you here were really anticipating, because I saw a lot of grievances that are most likely directed to the police. Unfortunately, I won't answer the questions, but I came here in a personal capacity. I was told also people from the Electoral Commission were invited to come and look at this portal, and giving my personal opinion about it. I think it is going to be a helpful tool withstanding the grievances that have been aired out by people in the audience, political actors. To us, one of the mandate we have as the police is to plan on the security of elections. The fact that we know, like he said, we need to know the demographics of which people participate in these elections, where is the big number of voters, and we plan for them, because every polling station must have polling constables. And that helps us in planning and recruitment of these officers who are supposed to man these elections, and also protect the vote. We do admit, going away aside from the portal, that yeah, it is true, some of the political actors do try to use some of our officers to clamp down on some of their opponents. You saw the issue that was in Mukono, where a former minister, and I think I don't think he won the election. He didn't. I don't think he won the election, where he kidnapped our officers who are transporting polling ballot boxes using his guards that were assigned to guard him. So we do register such incidents, but that issue is in courts of law, and I think it is being handled on that level. And we such ideas from you, we listen, and we are hopeful that we will correct them. Of course, might not correct on a larger scale in a snap of a finger, but we are hopeful that with time, something will be done. And an issue of our officers getting directly involved into issues allegations of rigging votes, like it has always been put out there by political actors. And thank you very much. If given an opportunity to discuss something like this again, maybe we will come with more facts on what we have done on allegations against our officers who have been involved in those things you have mentioned down there, because I know it is a serious issue. There was also an issue while we were going for elections. Actually, the day of election, some of the political actors were saying that the police is threatening voters. The big deployments you see around town, those are acting as threats to voters, and that's why people didn't turn up to vote. We had quite a deployment, and some of the political actors were saying that is part of the reason why people didn't turn up to vote. People were scared of their lives, given the fact that we were coming from November incidents. So a lot of people were thinking that maybe such a scenario might happen again and probably didn't turn up. I wouldn't want to say that was the reason why people didn't turn up to vote. We were basically prepared to make sure that people go through a peaceful election. I cannot answer on the questions of the internet being turned down, turned off. Our issue is to majorly protect the people that are going to participate in the elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the feedback and the interactions and the online audience following on Civic Space TV and others following on Twitter. Hashtag is Uganda Elections Data Portal. And thank you so much for making time, Uganda Police. We had also invited Uganda Human Rights Commission, but they are handling something else at the moment. And we also invited Uganda Electoral Commission. Unfortunately, he had another event going on at the same time. But we do work with all stakeholders, and we appreciate their efforts in ensuring that we maintain a free and fair election and observing human rights and all that we are doing. They are not here at the moment, but we shall definitely share a copy of the report from this. They'll also watch, because it's live on YouTube, so the recording doesn't go away. So they'll definitely get their message. As your host today, I'm Rita Asimile. I work with Center for Constitutional Governance, and I thank you.